Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me. So, another request from Kimmy. This one's Steely Dan singing Reeling in the Years live. Now, I've heard that song. I've never seen the video. Uh, I haven't heard that song very much, but I have heard it. I like to, if y'all been here for a while, I like to do full disclosures. So, you don't think that, how in the world could this guy possibly not have heard this song? And so his reactions must be faked. Yeah, I don't want y'all to ever think that. So, and I won't ever overdo it. If I overdo it, brother, I tell you what, that band, I think there's been just a couple that I've even clapped to at the end. I'm very, very guarded on things like that because I don't want to overdo it. So that being said, let's get into the intro and right into the video. All right, y'all. Okay, let's do it. Burt Sugarman's Midnight Special. Loved it.
So you're grabbing a piece of something that you think is gonna last. Well, you wouldn't even know a diamond if you held it in your hand. The things you think are precious, I can't understand. Are you reeling in the years? Storing away the time.
Yeah, look at all that hair, y'all.
Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine? Are you reeling in the years? Storing away the time. And all the time I've known you, I still don't know what you mean. The weekend in the college didn't turn out like you planned. The things that pass for knowledge I can't understand. Are you reeling in the years? Storing away the time. Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine? Are you reeling in the years? Storing away the time.
Okay, gotta pause it. So I've heard the song before, but it seems like that guy that's the lead singer on this, right? I didn't know he was the organ player or whatever that's called, keyboard, I guess I should say. But I didn't know he was the lead singer, or maybe he's not. But it sounds like the guy that I heard sing this song before. But yeah, I think from what I heard, this band was from San Francisco area when they formed, and this is you can tell this is the early '70s, maybe mid '70s, but it's very, very good. But it sounds like he's rushing his words. Maybe he's not. Maybe that's the way the song is. I probably have heard this song 3 times in my entire life, but not enough to sit around and think about what he's saying, or that's not how we used to do it. We just turned the radio on, and whatever the radio played is what we heard as we were drinking beer and talking to girls. But now I'm forced to sit here and listen and critique, not critique. That's a bad word. I have no room to critique anybody on anything. So that's not the word I want. React. So I have to. I'm watching all these nuances. I think it's pretty bitchin', man. It's again, '70s music was awesome. Let's get back to it. Bert Sugarman's Midnight Special, y'all. I don't know. It doesn't say what year that particular show was showing. So I was just thinking while I was watching this that 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 lead guitar player looked like one of the Beach Boys, and I couldn't remember that Beach Boy. I could remember Brian and I could remember Dennis, but I couldn't remember the one that I was thinking about when he had his beard, and that was Carl Wilson, and but I know it wasn't. So yeah, man, that was groovy. So I was reminiscing too while this was playing, and I remember the first time I heard this song. It was sometime in the '70s, early '70s, I thought, but I can't remember when. But I lived back in the hills of Oklahoma, for most of my life. I mean, sometimes we spent time in Southern California when my dad was in the Marine Corps, but uh, my formative late teenagers, and I graduated in the hills of Oklahoma, and it was all dirt roads. There wasn't. We had one paved road that went through, that led off the highway, but everything else was dirt roads. And then back on one of these dirt roads was this one bedroom cabin. It had a living room, it had a kitchen, real small, and then it had a bedroom with just a twin bed in it. And this guy that had come back from Vietnam was psychologically damaged, but me and a couple of guys would go by there and we would visit with him, and he had this real dark, in the living room. I think there was a window, but I think he had it boarded up or whatever. But it was real dark in there, and had these black light posters and these black lights. And what was cool back then that we never seen these. He bought this in the Orient somewhere. It was a reel to reel tape player. And man, that thing was, let's see, go this way. The thing was, he was big, and then he had these big, gigantic speakers, and it was like uh, the main thing in this living room. And then he had a couch and a coffee table and some old raggedy ass chairs in there, and he would crank the Beatles on this reel to reel. And one time we were over there, he was playing this song, and it was so pure because only heard of, you know, AM radio. We had FM, one channel FM. We only had one TV channel, but we had one FM channel that we could receive that was rock and roll as well, or would play rock and roll. And I think part of the time it would play country, depending on the time of the day. But it was real staticky. So when we heard this reel to reel tape player playing, it was we kind of lost our mind. Kind of like when the CD player first came out in the late '70s, that we were like, oh my god. And anyway, yeah, he would sit there, and he was damaged mentally from the Vietnam War. I can't even remember his name, bless his heart, um, but that's how I remember hearing a lot of Creedence Clearwater, a lot of this guy right here, Steely Dan, and the Beatles and things like that. Were at that guy's house, with a bunch of guys. Most of us were teenagers, and he was far from being a teenager himself, but he was 100 years old because of the Vietnam War and what he had seen and done, I guess. Uh, Man, just hate that for all our war fighters. Anyway, so that's how I know about Steely Dan from the '70s. All right, y'all. Hope you found that worthless story interesting. All right, that's going to do it for me. Till I see y'all again, I'll catch you down the road. Bye, y'all.